Today is Friday, October 1st, 2010, and I am interviewing Adam McMurray. Adam is 28 years old. He was born on October 5th, 1981. My name is Taylor Kelly, and I will be the interviewer. Adam is my cousin. Adam, could you state for the recording what war and branch you served in?
The war I served in was OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom. I also served with the Indiana National Guard.
What was your rank?
My rank was E5, Sergeant.
Where did you serve?
I served in Iraq for approximately 1 year.
How many years were you in the service?
I was in the service for 6 years.
So you served in the Iraq War. Where were you living at the time?
We moved around quite a few times in Iraq, but most of the time we lived in a smaller town called Ramadi, and we also lived in Baghdad, which is most people are familiar with.
What type of house did they have? Was it like a tent or?
For what we lived in? We lived in what you call squaw huts, and not everybody lived in squaw huts. They're pretty much buildings built with plywood and with an air conditioner hooked up. A lot of times we lived out at the IP stations, which is Iraqi police, and we would stay out there on cots and help them do their nightly patrols and stay outside the wire. So there was a lot of times we did stay with the Iraqis and lived amongst them with their culture and stuff like that.
How did you happen to serve in this war?
I happened to serve in the war because I was picked to perform a duty. Ever since 9/11 happened, I felt like I had a calling I had, and that's what made me decide to join the military. I wanted to do something to help our country and to keep insurgents and bad stuff happening off our land. And when I signed up a few years later, I got called to go overseas.
What were you doing before you were enlisted?
I was working in a factory, pretty much almost right out of high school, a couple years after high school.
Did anyone else in your family serve in the military?
I had one uncle that served in the Army. He didn't serve in any wars or anything like that, but he was in the Army for 4 years on my father's side.
Like on the first couple of days, can you tell me about adapting to military life?
The first couple of days was rough. I didn't know what to expect. During basic training, it was a lot of everybody yelling at you, wanting you to do this, and constantly people in your face trying to create stressful situations. Then as the Army life was nice, once I got acclimated to what I needed to do, what I need to look for, and how to act and how to approach situations, it became a lifestyle. I liked it a lot. I respected it. As far as adapting to wartime and overseas, that was probably one of the hardest because it was so hot over there. We ended up going to Kuwait for 16 days just to get acclimated, because us over here in the United States are so used to weather from 50 degrees to 90 degrees, and over there it ranged from 110 to 130 degree weather. So that was pretty tough, just adjusting to the weather and stuff like that.
What kind of food did they have there?
They had a lot of the stuff that we had, but they eat a lot of sheep over there. They eat a lot of chickens. They eat a lot of vegetables. The Iraqis themselves as a culture, they don't really eat bad, like a lot of bad junk food and stuff like that. You still have that over there, but a lot of it is rice and meat, and they make a lot of I guess you would say homemade tortillas. You don't ever see bread over there. They always eat everything with tortillas. It doesn't matter what it is. They wrap it up in tortillas and they eat it. So.
How did you choose the branch of service you served in?
Um, the branch I served in, it was a tough decision. I really didn't know what branch I wanted to serve in. All I knew was I wanted to serve in the military and I wanted to help. My first choice was, natural reaction to a lot of young men is the Marines. I had quite a few people from work, and one of my old supervisors was in the Army for, I believe, 12 years, and he just kind of talked me into, like, with the education, you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it was just pretty much me not knowing what I wanted or not educated on the system. He pretty much talked me into joining the Army. Plus, my uncle, he was in the Army, so I just figured, the Army was the best bet. And at that time, my sister was having kids, and she had her firstborn and everything, and I didn't want to live away from home right out of high school. I wanted to stay close to the home and be close to the family, but I still wanted to be in the military. So I decided not to go active, and at first I wasn't even going to join the military because I didn't know what options was out there. But somebody talked me into, checking into the Guard. You get the same training, the same equipment, everything's the same as the Army, but you just do it once a month. And you're able to keep your job and stay local and be with your family and friends, and that's what I really wanted. So that's why I chose the National Guard, and I figured if I really liked it and my heart was into it, then eventually over the years I would switch to active duty. So that's why I picked the Army National Guard.
What kind of training did you have?
We had all kinds of training, all the way from weapons training to, tactical training to vehicle training. A lot of spending time out in the woods. A lot of urban training. We did a lot of training before we went overseas, as in clearing houses and what to look for in convoys. It was a broad. It was a broad selection. We pretty much covered. I can go on and on about all the different training that we've had, and all the training that we still could receive while being in the military and excelling at and stuff like that. But it was a lot of survival skills, what to do in many situations, how to deal with stressful situations, and stuff that you need to know when you're out there by yourself and you need to survive. And there's a lot of role playing, if we were in this situation or that situation, what would we do? So if it ever did come up, so.
Did you make any friends there?
Oh, over in Iraq, Iraqis themselves, there were a couple. There were a couple that we talked to on a daily basis that we were, I guess we would say more of acquaintance. We talked to and we got to discuss and talk about, some of the things they do over here, some of the things that we do, over in the United States. But some of the translators that were Iraqi, they spoke English and Arabic. And there was one named Jimmy that used to, roll with us outside the wire, and he went everywhere we went because, you got to have somebody that speaks Arabic or, you're not going to get anything done or know what's going on or what they're talking about. And I used to speak with him every now and then and send him a couple of emails. We kind of, fell off track there for a while, and I haven't spoken to him for, I'd say probably a good year and a half, 2 years now. But like friends overall, like as soldiers, I have tons of them. I love them to death. I've been through so much with them. I've been through things that, I can't explain. There's friends that I grew up with, and I've been through so much, and ever since I was a little kid, that my military buddies that I've only known for probably 4 or 5 years, and the stuff that I've been through, I'm probably a lot closer, and to be honest, know that I can count on them and trust them more than the friends that I grew up with since I was probably 10 years old.
During the wartime, where did you serve?
Where did I serve? We served over. I served over in Iraq. We spent a lot of time in Baghdad. We lived there for a few months. We lived in Fallujah for a few months, but the main place where I served was over in Ramadi.
Like, what were your duties from the front line?
My duties, it varied. We went over as a company size, which was only about 152 of us that left Indiana. We were one of the first ones that go over out of Indiana National Guard before the 76th Brigade, who I'm also was attached to, went over a few years back when they had, I think, roughly around 3,500 went over. We broke it down into different platoons. We had 4 platoons and 1 PSD mission. Platoon, which was a personal security detail mission that I served on. One of the missions for one of the platoons was to occupy a certain sector of the city and help teach and show the Iraqi police and the IA, which is Iraqi Army, how to do the patrols, what to look for, give them the confidence, give them show them how to use their weapons properly, just kind of give them the confidence so that they show those presence on the streets, so the Iraqis themselves would feel a little more at ease. We had a couple platoons that did that. Like I said, I did PSD, which is personal security. All I did was I would escort a Marine colonel wherever he wanted to go in Iraq. We went everywhere. If he had to talk to anybody in Baghdad, Fallujah, most times we stayed all night. If we had to make arrangements, to get water somewhere or food or anything like that, I mean, we were the guys to go to whenever there were some firefights or anything came up, or some people in our platoon called up and they were low on ammo, or they had a bad feeling about a situation, then that's when we'd come in and we'd help and supply them with cover and supplies and help them continue their mission and everything. But we did a lot of training. We did a lot of keep the peace, show the Iraqis that we're not there to harm them, because not all Iraqis are bad. Most of the insurgents are coming out from the country, coming in, doing their planting their IEDs, blowing up the trucks, and snipers out there, and then they're running across the borders. Not everybody over there are bad people, and not everybody over there hates us. There was a lot of people there that showed a lot of support and that would help us to not only show, but to tell us some of the tactics that the insurgents were doing and everything. When we got over there, there wasn't much anybody or anything going on in the cities. I mean, it was pretty much, everything was pretty much almost blown up. The roads were really bad. None of the kids would come out. All the schools were shut down. And when we left, we helped reopen 3 schools in Ramadi. We helped open 4 IP stations, helped recruit and did extensive background checks through the military government on these Iraqis before they can become Iraqi, police and IA and stuff like that. And we just help spread democracy and just show them there's better things out there than what they've been going through when bad people like Saddam was in charge. So the mission varied quite a bit. I mean, it's kind of hard to pinpoint. It's just pretty much what they needed us for, whatever the brigade wanted us to do and everything. We were just pretty much pawns. Whatever the generals and everybody higher, all the way up to the president, needed us to do, we just carried out that mission.
What did the Iraqis wear?
A lot of them wore pants and nice shirt and everything. A lot of them dressed. It seemed like, if you see them out here on the streets in the United States, it seems kind of nice, casual but nice. Most of them was, dress shirts and pants. A lot of them wore the robes. It's kind of like a gown or whatnot for a guy. they wouldn't wear anything underneath it, and they just wear sandals. Um, the women, most of the women were covered up. Pretty much all you can see was maybe like their feet and their eyes. Um, um, they didn't have, they don't have much money over there, so a lot of them, I guess you would look at it as very poor. The places we've been to and the places we went to were, I guess we would consider like a poor part of the town, just depending on where you go. But they pretty much wore a lot of American stuff too. Whatever they can get their hands on, whoever donated or anything like that. I have some pictures too I can show you of what they look like. That would kind of give you an idea and help you that, I mean, they're just like us, just different culture. They believe in different things, but can you see that on camera? Is that focusing? I can move this. Can you see that? This is one of the IPs. See, he just has brown pants on. His head's covered. Most of them always carry their head, especially the IPs and IAs, because they don't want other insurgents to know who they are, so they can go and hurt their family or follow their home or anything like that. But for the most part, they just dress the same, which is very hard. And what was very hard in that war was that, just like over here, most of us all dress the same. They do over there too. They all talk and look the same. It'd be like trying to, the Iraqis coming over here and try to distinguish, someone from Indiana from, say, Tennessee. But there's only a few things that you'll be able to tell a difference, and that's like their accent, how they pronunciate their words and stuff like that. But
did you have to talk somewhat like them?
yeah, we had to. There's a lot of stuff that I forgot, but we had to do a lot of training actually, and before we even left the United States, we was over at Fort Dix for 3 months, training and taking classes, learning Arabic and learning the numbers and some of the key phrases and words to either tell somebody to stop, come here, what's their name, be able to read what numbers they're talking about, or read the row signs and stuff like that. But yeah, we had to do, actually I believe it was like a 2-week course that we had to attend every day for a couple hours and just pretty much get taught Arabic. So
did they write any different?
yes, they write totally different. Not unless you were taught to read or write Arabic. It just looks like a bunch of squiggly lines, pretty much. Like right here on the flag, the Iraqi flag. That's pretty much how they write. You can only see a little bit. Here, let me raise it up a little bit. I forget what those words stand for, but I know the green stands for Islam, the red stands for sacrifice, the white stands for purity, and the black stands for martyrdom. But yeah, you'll see these everywhere flying in Iraq. But I don't think I have any writings of them actually in here. But it's very hard to understand. It's a very hard language to learn and read.
Did you make any friends with them?
Not really. Not besides like our translator that I talked about briefly. Made friends with him because he spoke English. It was really easy to relate to him and everything like that. But as friend-wise, no. There wasn't. I didn't really have any friends over there. We didn't really have time. You know what I mean? We was there to do a job. Um, we had, you know, people that were nice to us, and we were nice back to them. We see them on a daily basis, but you still, in the back of your mind, didn't know whether you could really trust them or not. So it wasn't somebody like how you would say friends here, where you go hang out and just, you know, kind of kick it, or, you know, watch TV and stuff like that. So no.
How did you stay in touch with those back home?
Well, they had phones over there. It was actually AT&T had over there, which was very hard to use because they were always out, because we were always getting hit with mortars and bombs, and the satellites would be down and stuff like that. But the best way that I stayed in touch was with the computer, you know, through the internet. We had internet access over there, and the places that we did live at, we had a couple guys that actually knew a lot about it, and, you know, we ran into some, you know, the right equipment and satellite. We kind of hooked our own internet up and do like Yahoo Messenger and stuff like that, emails, and webcam. I had a webcam, which was probably my best gift that I got over there. So I was able to see a lot of the family and stay in touch with my fiance and everything. So I wrote letters a little bit here and there, but didn't really have much time. But they're pretty good at getting the mail out. Depends on what base you go to, and how big it is, and the resources they have, and whether, you know, the phone's going to work. So.
What did you do for recreation?
Recreation?
Like, yeah.
Oh, what did I? We did just be stupid, have fun. You know, a lot of us were a little older at the time, and, you know, we have, you know, the age varies from 18 to, you know, 50-some years old, especially in the Guard. We played football. We played cards all the time. We had TVs there. We played Xbox. We'd make, you know, videos, stupid videos of each other. Watch a lot of movies. Played baseball, basketball. They had a lot of recreation places, like in Baghdad, that you can go to and actually, you know, you could even golf. Not really a golf course, but you can go and hit some golf balls, play ping pong, and, you know, stuff like that. So you could watch movies in some places. It just depends on where you went and stuff like that.
Did you play games like different than what they have here?
No, we didn't really get too involved like with the. We played a lot of soccer with the kids. They love soccer over there. I mean, we got down and dirty with the kids and played some soccer, but as like learning like some new sports or games like that, not really.
In the movies, did they talk different in the movies than what we talk?
Yeah, they speak a lot different than we do. They're more direct, you know, straight to the point with a lot of emotion. It's very easy to upset or offend one in that culture. There's a lot of times we went, excuse me, to an IP station and they'd cook us, you know, dinner, and even though their cooking ways and everything wasn't, I guess you'd say, completely sanitary, but it's very rude and disrespectful if we'd walk in there and they just offering their supper to us, knowing that they don't have much money and they would feed us before they would eat, and you couldn't say no. If you said no, you would just, I mean, it would just create a huge problem. They'd want to know why you're disrespecting them, what's wrong with them, what's wrong with the food, and you're just, you know, it'd just be like us being over here like, oh, no thanks, you know, would you like, you know, a sandwich? No, I'm good, thank you, or I'm not real hungry, or, you know, that's not really, I don't really like chicken. No, you pretty much try the food over there. You pretty much drink the tea over there. They drink a lot of tea, which is called chai, and which some of it's not too bad, but there's quite a few of us that got sick off of it later, just because, you know, they're not as sanitary as we are in most cases. So.
Did you like get any medals when you were in the war?
Yeah, I brought one actually, which is my ARCOM, my Army Commendation Medal, right here. This is probably my most proudest one. Um, it's just pretty much, for doing, good things over there, during, combat operations and stuff like that. So, and I also got my CAB when I was over there, which is called Combat Action Badge, and I got that for engaging and being engaged in enemy contact, which was, I was in a couple IEDs, firefights. We've been mortared on. A couple of RPGs went through our convoys and stuff like that, which this is my CAB. Is it's pretty much a knife with leaves around it, or olive leaves, branches. I got a CAB because my MOS, which is a 63 Mike and 19 Delta, which is a Bradley mechanic and a scout. We get the CABs. Everybody else gets CABs. The only ones that get the CIB is the infantry, which is the long rifle. It looks just like this, but it's a long rifle. So that was very special to me. I definitely earned that one. Not everybody gets those. You get those for pretty much being in the fight. So those are my two main ones that I brought today that I'm most proud of. So
The little stand back there,
Mhm.
that's green. What does that like represent?
that represents this medal right here, my ARCOM. And what it says, you get that medal in that box, and you also get the ribbon, which is right here, and that ribbon comes off, and this is what you put on your uniform, like your dress A's when you dress up real nice. Not the uniform, the ACUs, but they're usually the green ones for the Army. You get this with it, just pretty much showing what it is, who got it, which this is my information over here. It just tells you who gave it to me, when did I receive it. It just says, your outstanding duty performance during combat operations. And it was just something that was recognized for what I did over there, and pretty much going up and beyond, my call of duty. So everybody gets those when they get a medal.
Um, did you have to carry any guns?
Yes, I had a lot of weapons. When I first got over there, we automatically carry M4s, which is like M16s. M16s is like what they used in Vietnam, the long black rifles, but an M4 has a collapsible buttstock on it, which is actually makes it a lot shorter. So when you're at that time, in Vietnam, when you're out in the woods, you need the long range, the long muzzle. But for our setting and our wartime, it was a lot of urban, going into the rooms, searching houses, so you needed a more compact weapon. So we had to carry an M16. I had to carry a 9mm Beretta on me. I carried my knives. I carried 3 hand grenades, flares. I was also in charge, because I was a gunner. I was the lead gunner. I also had a 50 cal machine gun that I had to not carry all the time, but I had to clean and store. I had a 240 Bravo, which is another machine gun. What else did I have?
Did you have any knives?
Yeah, I always carried a knife on me, which is always good because, you get caught up in something, need to, cut the seatbelt when we're in the Humvees. We always wear our seatbelts in case we roll over or if something happens, or close quarter combat. But it's always good to have a knife. We always had a big old buck knife on us, or some of them carry the big machetes. But for the most part, it was usually our M4s, which are rifles, our pistols, and usually our hand grenades and our knives and stuff like that on most missions. So it just depended on what mission and what we were doing, where were we at, and how many people we had.
Did you ever get hit by anything?
Yeah, I've been hit by 3 IEDs. I've never been. I've had no bullet go through me or puncture my skin or anything like that. I've had shrapnel hit the top of my Kevlar, but not go through. We've been hit 3 times documented on IEDs, which is an explosive device that is which insurgents they plant on the side of the road to blow up your truck. So.
Were you still overseas when the war ended?
No. No. Which is that was a tough time also, because as much as I missed home, you get in the brotherhood and you get in that zone of being somewhere and you're helping out. And I always looked at it and I use the same analogy as if, a construction worker or somebody building a house. You start building that house and you get, all the people there, you get everybody working on the same page, you get all the materials, and then you start seeing that house form, and, you start being proud, getting proud of what you've accomplished. And then before you finish the house and everything, pretty much somebody comes up and is like, nope, you're done, go home. And that's about how it was. I mean, we was in the middle of a lot of things, helping the people over there and the kids and the community, and our time was just up. And there's a lot of times I look back at it now that I would love to go over there just to kind of see how what that house looks like now. How the Iraqi community looks. Are those schools still there? The IP stations, are they still doing what we were trying to teach them? So.
Where were you when the war ended?
The war is. We still have a lot of troops over in Iraq right now. There's still a lot of little fights going on over there and stuff like that. The main war right now in our society is faced towards Afghanistan right now. But I would pretty much say the war is pretty much over in Iraq. I mean, cross my fingers. There's still a lot of work to be done, as in building and helping spread the democracy and getting the government up and running. But I was home, working.
Is there anything else that you would like to state for the recording?
Yeah, I wanted to put out there that I had a buddy that was over there with me, and it was his second time over in Iraq, and he was from Florida. His name was Ryan Newhouse, and there was a lot of tough times we had over there and dealing with situations and people and their families. And he just started laughing at me one day. I forget what I was going through, what problem I had, and he's just like, you have no worries. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, think about it. He's like, you don't pay for food here. You don't worry about what you're going to wear. You're always protected. You always know what you're doing. It's the same thing every day. You keep your mind off things. And, we started talking more and more about it, and it was true. I mean, as much as I missed home and wanted to be home, I have more worries here in the United States than I did over there in combat. And it sounds funny, but over there, all I had to worry about was stay alive and keep my buddies alive. Everything else was furnished to me. And you just get in that zone. But yeah, it got to the point where, our patrols, it'd be like you guys going down and buying, a gallon of milk or something like that. You just get so used to doing something, it just comes second nature to you. Another fun fact would be during our winter times here in the United States, when it usually gets icy and stormy and snows and gets very cold, over there they call it the rainy season. So when it snows over here, it's raining over there constantly. Mud everywhere, it's cold, it's miserable, which I think it's only snowed there maybe a couple times and since it's been documented or whatnot over in Iraq. There's a lot of good memories I had over there, a lot of bad memories. We only lost one that went with us, and one of my great friends, Brad King. We had a lot of Purple Hearts, a lot of people that got wounded. But we were one of the most, if not the most, I believe, decorated guardsmen to ever come out of Indiana, and we were very proud of that. And we did a good job over there. We helped out a lot of people, and we helped out that country a lot. When regardless of what our political views were and the stuff that we had to put on the back burner. But I wouldn't change it for a world. It's a tough subject, but if they asked me to go over tomorrow and if I could pass the physical with my bad back and everything, I would definitely go. I would do it over again, definitely.
How did you return home?
Well, we flew over obviously, and we flew back, which that's kind of a touchy subject also, because there was a lot of people that was very happy and welcomed us with open arms, and just through parties and just showed how much gratitude and how respectful they were towards us. But there was a couple times we went to a couple different airports where we had some of my buddies and some of the soldiers that were actually getting spit on by Americans, and that was pretty tough to swallow. But the welcome home was great. It was good to see everybody. It was weird. It was different, and I mean it took a long time for me to get acclimated and get back into the civilian life, and there's a lot of things that still haven't changed yet, and it's something that definitely changed me. So.
So it's hard to get back to your regular life?
Yes, it was. It was very hard. A lot of my buddies and the soldiers, they have troubles dealing with that a lot right now. You see them going to the VA and getting help and stuff like that. We went through some things that people can never even think of, and we've seen some things that people should never see. We could pretty much what we saw in that year. I mean, you could probably put a whole police department together, and you probably couldn't add up in their whole lifetime what we saw in probably a month. And that's not for everybody, but it definitely changed. It changed a lot of how I think about life and how much I appreciate it. And some of the things, I just can't get over. And I have a lot of buddies that are like that, and it makes you feel weird sometimes. But we are getting help, and there's a lot of people there that are helpful with us, and it's just some things are just going to take time, and we know that, and looking forward to the future.
Are you a member of any veterans organization?
I was a member of the American Legion there in Cicero, where I live now, but other than that, no.
Any contact with fellow veterans?
Oh, definitely. I keep in touch with my friends all the time, some of my battle buddies. We talk all the time, some of the problems that we go through or going through at the time, or what we went through, some of the things that say helped me, that I want to give them that information so they can get help. A lot of times we just get together and talk about our time over there, and yeah, we keep in touch all the time. I mean, that's something you can't ever forget, and you build a bond with somebody when you go through some of that stuff together.
How has being in the military affected your life?
The military has definitely changed and made my life so much better. I don't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing right now if I wouldn't have chose the military. I was pretty much straight out of high school. I was 20 years old when I signed up, 21 when I went to basic. Like I said, I was working at a factory. Didn't have much going on. Wasn't in college or anything like that. But my priorities were very low. My ambitions were very low. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have much self-confidence. And the Army taught me a lot of things, and a lot of things that benefited me, and a lot of things that I'm using now in my career field, and things I want to use the rest of my life. It's helped me out tremendously. So.
Did you learn any lessons?
Yeah, I've learned There's quite a few lessons that I've learned. Um, but I mean, the biggest lesson I probably learned is don't take don't take people for granted. You know, life's too short. So I mean, after being overseas, and then the older I get, um, I start thinking about all the things I took advantage of, and some of the things I haven't done that I'm going to do or that I've done since I've been home because of the military. I just don't take advantage of the situation in a negative way. Life's way too short. And what happened to some of my buddies over there that got hurt, and one of my buddies that died, I mean, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, you should live life to the fullest now and try to be the best person you can be. So.
Thank you for coming here and letting me interview you. And thank you for serving in our country.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I had a great time, and I hope that everything works out.